Welcome to the Daily Record Spin. I'm your host, Jimmy Clements. Joining me today, as always, is the co-host of the show and my brother, Danny Okey. Danny, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Hi, gay.
Hi, gay.
It's that time of year?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's a little bit of a later recording for me, but we're going to power through. It'll be great. So if my lighting looks different, that's why. But yeah, no, it was a good day today. How was your day?
Pretty solid. Just got off work, so
nice.
Kind of busy shift. So anyway, settling into the evening. We both go to Italy this week, so Danny and I are kind of cramming this one in here amongst vacation prep. Danny just got back from a trip too. You want to say anything about that? How that went?
Sure did. Yeah, just got back from a trip to Arizona. Got to do a lot of stuff while we were there. Stayed in the Phoenix area, but got to travel, see the Grand Canyon. Got to see Sedona. We went and saw a dude ranch down in Tucson, which was really fun. So we did tons of stuff. It was a fantastic trip. Had a great time.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back to the Grand Canyon. We went when we were really, really little, but I bet that was extremely cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it at all from when we went because I was so young. So it was honestly breathtaking. Like, it was
so cool.
Seriously incredible. But honestly, I think Sedona has my heart. Like, that place is insane. Yeah,
I've heard it's amazing.
One of the prettiest places I've ever seen. So
so cool.
It was special for sure.
All right, well, we are blessed by the content gods today because we actually have things to talk about.
Finally.
Yeah.
2025 finally gave us pop music news.
Yeah, so we planned on this episode being pretty much just dedicated to doing a deep dive of Something Beautiful, the new Miley Cyrus album, which we will definitely do. But we got super shocking news over the weekend that Taylor Swift's rebought in her entire discography. So now she owns the masters to all of her first 6 albums and any of the other projects that she worked on under that configuration. She has full ownership now of all of her music. So we're going to start by talking about that topic. We'll hit some other releases that came out Friday, and then we'll get into the Miley deep dive. So first thoughts when you saw the shocking Taylor news.
So I was on a work meeting, actually, just over Zoom, and I get post notifications for Taylor's Instagram. She's like one of the only people I do because she posts very rarely. So when she does, I know it's important. So I got the post notification and I paused the person I was in a meeting with who knows I love Taylor. And I was like, hey, listen, give me a sec. There's a letter on her website I need to read. So I read the letter and I was just elated. I stopped the meeting. I said, I'll be right back. And I ran downstairs because Hunter was also on a work meeting, and I was like, Hunter, you stop. Like, you need to hear this. And luckily the person he was on a meeting was also a Swiftie, so I broke the news to both of them.
Amazing.
Rebought all of her masters, but it was very exciting. We had a mini party. It was very, very exciting. What about you? How did it go down for you?
I was asleep. Sarah woke me up to tell me the news, which fair. You know, that was worth waking me up for. So
for sure,
that was the first thing I heard that morning while I was like half asleep. Like, she did what? Oh,
what? Oh,
like that was kind of how that went for me. But yeah, it's been extremely cool. I'm just so happy for her. Like, what a joyous thing that she now gets control over her own music library. And interestingly, at a time when so many artists are selling their catalogs, she bought hers back. So I think that's very fascinating. I'm sure she paid a shite ton of money for that. So,
well, did you see the estimate?
What is the estimate?
So obviously we don't know numbers for certain, but Billboard has reported that she bought it for $360 million.
That seems low.
It does seem low because I think Shamrock Capital, which were the previous owners of her masters, I think they bought them from Big Machine for around the same price, for around $360. So
interesting.
It is interesting that they were sold to her for the exact same. But I want to get into the nitty gritty of this because the numbers I find very, very fascinating. So, you know, obviously the entire goal of her re-recording her music was to, essentially devalue the old recordings to the point where hopefully at some point the value of them would be so low she'd be able to purchase them back for a fair price.
Right. And that's a big part of this. Yeah,
for sure. However, I was listening to a podcast that came out literally the day of. They got an emergency episode right out, which was funny. But they were breaking this down that actually, because of the re-recording process, that really led to the Eras tour, which led to Taylor's biggest peak of her career that she's ever had. So in trying to devalue the old recordings, she actually skyrocketed the value by accident. Just because she became so famous. Now, that said, I think relatively speaking, when you adjust for her inflated fame, I do think they were devalued in the aggregate because of the re-recordings. Most of the fans were gravitating towards those. So I think it shows that even though she technically bought them back for around the same price that they were sold, they should have been much more expensive had she not re-recorded them throughout the past 5 years. So I think those numbers are definitely interesting, and I'm sure we'll find out more in the coming weeks about the actual pricing values. I think these are really just estimates, and hopefully we'll get some insight onto kind of the nitty gritty of how this happened. Hopefully in a documentary. I would love a documentary at some point. But yeah, I found that all very fascinating.
For sure. The number's very interesting there. It does make sense that they would sort of even out the devaluing mixed with the insane star power that she garnered for herself. So yeah, because like you sent me those texts, and it's interesting. So many of those previous highs, we'll get into that in a second, but so many of the previous highs for streaming on those first 6 albums came in summer of 2023 when the Eras tour was in full swing. So you think about that. So many new fans listening to the music for the first time, they of course would eventually probably learn that they're supposed to listen to the re-recorded versions. But like that's, if you're a new fan, how are you supposed to know that?
Exactly.
But one thing I want to say about that is that the numbers bear out that her fans are awesome. That they were just listening to the re-recorded versions at her request, because jump into it now, but I mean, like it seems like people weren't listening to the old ones and now they are again. So
yeah, I mean the stats for that first day Spotify have come out, and even that was, let's see, she announced this around like probably 11 or noon Eastern time.
Yeah.
And I think Spotify tracking ends around like 8 p.m. So really we're only seeing like half a day of Spotify stats here, but I'm just going to read off some of the stats because they're actually crazy. So Reputation alone earns its biggest streaming day on Spotify since its release 8 years ago. Now, here's what we have to remember. I believe, I'm trying to remember the timeline of this. Taylor took her music off of Spotify for quite some time, for several years, because of their the artist pay, and put it back when Spotify agreed to her terms. I'm trying to remember if that was post-Reputation or pre-Reputation. I really can't remember. So that may have something to do with the Reputation numbers, because I don't know if Reputation was on Spotify when it dropped or if it was just Apple Music. So keep that in mind. But even still, yesterday, first time in years, in the 8 years history, this is the highest it's been, which is so funny to me, because what's interesting about Reputation and Debut specifically is I was always under the impression that until a Taylor's version was released, we were okay to listen to the original versions. That's at least how I took it.
That was how I interpreted the whole thing too.
And I think a lot of people interpreted it that way. And again, like, all of this is, you can really listen however you want, okay? But you're not a better fan for doing it one way. But anyways, so I just found it fascinating that people were not listening to this album clearly until Friday. Fearless, 2008, received 1.7 million streams on Spotify on Friday, up 53.83%. This is the album's best day since 2021. You're going to see that as a pattern, because the streaming data for these albums, the day the Taylor's version releases, actually skyrockets because people are doing the comparison game.
Okay, makes sense.
They're going back to the original version. Okay, this is how this sounds. This is how the Taylor's version sound. And then once they do that comparison, they switch clearly all to the Taylor's version. So best day for Fearless since 2021, when Fearless TV was released. 1989 original version earned its best day on Spotify since November 2023, again, which is right around the time that Taylor's version came out, with 5.4 million streams, up 38.22%. It outstreamed 1989 Taylor's version yesterday
Okay.
or on Friday.
Which it should. We'll get into that in a minute, but
for sure. Taylor Swift's debut album has earned its best day ever on Spotify with 2 million streams, up 68.71%. That's possibly the craziest one.
Whoa.
Up 68%. Speak Now, the original version, has earned its best day on Spotify since July 2023. Again, right around the time that the Taylor's version, Taylor's version came out in July of 2023.
Oh, okay.
Speak Now, Taylor's version, with 3.1 million streams, up 81.17%.
Oh, so, my God.
People very, very clearly were pretty devoted to these Taylor's versions, myself included. And it's clear that people were going out in droves on Friday to reclaim that music. And I believe, as we're speaking, Reputation is still number 1 on Spotify, blocking both Morgan Wallen's new album and Miley Cyrus's new album. So it's just it's crazy how powerful she is. It's wild.
It is. Okay. Getting into the nitty gritty of how we feel as fans about this. Mm-hmm. What are some original recordings that you are just like stoked to have back?
I am going to almost entirely discard all of Speak Now TV and all of 1989 TV. I think that's pretty fair. I will be going back to the originals for those full albums. There are a few on the Speak Now re-recording that I might go back to. I do like the mature vocal, but Speak Now is one of my favorites from her. And there's something so endearing about the youthful charm of that album.
Yeah, it was lost in translation.
Super lost in the Taylor's version. But the one that I'm completely discarding 1989 Taylor's version, because the original 1989 is leaps and bounds better, specifically style. I went right back to style. It's so fun. It's so funny. I was going to say
my 3 that immediately popped into my head: Style, Mean.
Yep.
Which you just hit too. And then Eyes Open, which I mentioned on our draft last year. I just didn't like the re-record. And so I'm really excited to have that one back too. Those 3 songs in particular.
I think I am maybe in the minority that I actually prefer the re-record of Eyes Open.
I remember you saying that.
It has a little bit more life in it. But yeah, I mean, Red, I don't know that I'll go back to the original very much of Red. I think Taylor's version is significantly better. And I feel that way about Fearless as well. There's something to be said about her youth in the original Fearless, but I mean, those recordings in the Taylor's version really are much better. So those ones I probably will stick to the re-recordings, but a lot of the rest of it, I'll go back to the originals.
Yeah, I would say Fearless. I pretty much agree with that. I might listen to the original version of You Belong With Me now, just because, again, that youthful charm is sort of important to me.
Yes,
But a lot of the other songs, I actually think she did better the second time around. And then I super agree on Red. I think Red is improved by the Taylor's version. So
completely agree.
So what are a couple songs that you will listen to the Taylor's version of going forward?
Well, obviously All Too Well 10, right?
But that doesn't exist in the
doesn't count. All the vault tracks, of course, I'll be going back to. Right. I really love the re-record of the title track Red. I think is phenomenal. Trying to think of some others. Definitely, gosh, a lot of those songs on Fearless, like the Forever and Always is a huge example. I feel like the re-record of Forever and Always is significantly better.
Yeah. Dear Steven, I like better.
Hey Steven, Hey Steven is much better. Breathe is really phenomenal.
Yeah,
15,
I like the Breathe.
15 I think is really special re-recording because it feels so different in the hindsight.
I feel that way about Love Story too. They both feel like almost like an older poet sort of like imagining youth rather than like someone that's in that. That's very interesting. Yeah,
there really is something to be said about the originals, but I would say really specifically Red, a majority of Red I'm going back to. I will say I think Holy Ground original version is a tad better than Holy Ground Taylor's version.
I would agree with that.
The other one for me that's huge is which I forgot to say, Everything Has Changed. I'm definitely going back to the original for that.
Yes.
Because actually I think Ed dropped the ball on the re-recording.
Yes, agreed.
There's one part specifically that I think is unlistenable, and it's his fault. And I don't mean to discredit him, but like it really is his fault. And I think he sounds phenomenal in the first version. So I will be going back to the original for that. So
there's a gentleness to his older singing voice before he was performing like every day of his life.
For
that
sure.
is lost.
I totally agree.
One of my controversial ones is I actually do prefer the re-record of Out of the Woods. So I will probably continue to listen to that one. But other than that, 1989, definitely the original is the better version.
I will say that the re-recording of Out of the Woods was super faithful. Super
faithful. And I just felt like Jack was a little bit better now. And so I was like, I just kind of...
Yeah, that was one of their first collaborations together. Was Out of the Woods.
I think it was their first, if I'm not mistaken.
No, their first was actually Sweeter Than Fiction, which was a song written for a movie, which made the Target edition of Fearless Taylor's version, but is not on streaming, and now probably never will be.
Incredible.
But yeah, I haven't really decided on Out of the Woods. That's my favorite on 1989. So
that's tough. Then I get that.
I have a soft spot for the original for sure, but I really do think they did a phenomenal job with the re-recording on that one. But
yeah.
I think we can all agree collectively as a fandom that we're tossing Style Taylor's version into the sun.
Goodbye.
And never coming back to it ever again.
Please no.
So, no, I think all in all, I'm thrilled for her. This was the entire point. I saw, some people, and we can get into this too. Some people upset about the prospect of not getting Reputation Taylor's version and possibly not getting Debut Taylor's version. But I'm like, guys, this was the whole point. Like, this is why she did this, was so that we could eventually come to this outcome. Like, and I don't see a world in which she's not going to give us those vault tracks. I'm sure she's going to give us the vault tracks. 100%. And at the end of the day, isn't that really what we're here for? Like, isn't that what we want? Like, did we really want a re-recording of Reputation? Like, that would have been torn apart. Like, people would have been vicious about the re-recording of Reputation. Like, we did not need it. We did not need to go there. So, yeah.
I sent you this TikTok that it was like Taylor Swift trying to sing about Joe Alwyn again, and then just going, "Travis, give me my wallet."
So funny. Well, I just think back. Do you remember that performance where she did Call It What You Want on the Eras tour, and she did it on the piano, and her face was pissed the entire time, and she zoomed through it because she was so mad to be singing it. I'm like, she did not want to re-record that album. She's like, I got a quarter of the way through it, and I said, fuck this. I can't do this again.
I actually do think we will get Debut Taylor's version. It seems like it's done, and so I imagine 20th anniversary, which I think is next year or the year after.
It is next year. Yeah, it's next year.
I'm hoping that one does come out, but it does seem like Reputation probably won't. And I think that's probably good. It's just so specific to a point in time. Like, you can't recreate the Kanye phone call. You can't recreate the Joe Alwyn stuff. It's just like... That was an era. It's over. Even the whole sound of that album is so of the moment when it came out. Like, it's just, it's really, really hard to like go back to that one. So
it also wasn't that long ago. Like, 2017 was not that long ago.
No,
at least
only
it doesn't
8
feel
years.
like it.
It's not enough time.
I don't think she's separated enough from, well, especially since the relationship with Joe Alwyn ended so recently. Like, I don't think anyone would expect her to have to reopen that can of worms, because most of Reputation really is about him. Like, it has the facade of being about Kim and Kanye, but really most of that album is a joke.
It's gorgeous. It's delicate, all that stuff.
Call It What You Want. King of My Heart. Like, all of those are Joe songs. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think the production on that would have been impossible to replicate. I really do. It's so hyper specific. It's so maximalist. I really think it would have flopped. I think it would have been really bad. So, but I agree that I hope we get Debut, because I actually think a lot of those songs on Debut are quite good, but her voice is tough to get through.
I agree. So I actually think they'll be heavily improved by hearing it now.
I do too.
So that's cool.
Yeah. And I need You'll Always Find Your Way Back Home Taylor's version. I need it. I need it more than I need Oxygen. So she better give it to me. I need it. So yeah, I just think it's really great for her. And
I love that.
I think, you know what I also just to kind of cap this all off, what I also loved about the letter was this is the first time in years I have felt like Taylor was just like talking to us.
Yeah, where it wasn't like a marketing ploy.
Yes, like reading that letter, I didn't feel like everything was perfectly planned out. I didn't feel like there were Easter egg drops. I felt like it was her being like, here's where I'm at. Like, this is, I'm just telling you this happened. I'm really excited about it. I have part of Reputation. I have Debut. If you want it, maybe I'll give it to you. Like, it was so not characteristic for the past decade of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the past decade of Taylor Swift has been so meticulous, so laid out, plans laid out, 4 to 5 years in advance, her schedule laid out that far in advance. And this just felt like an honest moment where she was just talking to her fans. And I miss that part of Taylor. So that was really cool. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, I fully agree. We also got a lot of new singles on Friday. And albums. But anything that stood out to you that you want to hit real quick?
I don't know that I listened to anything other than the Miley album, if I'm being totally honest.
Do you listen to the Lorde single?
Sorry. Yes, I did listen to Lorde single. The Lorde single is great. It's great.
I agree, and I'm very excited for where this album is going.
Me too.
Definitely not going to be the song of the summer. It's probably not going to be even that listened to, honestly. It doesn't even feel like a single. It feels like an album track. But I am excited for the album that track is from. So, it's like, it's one of those things where I fully trust Lorde. I'm just like all in on that.
Yep. Me too.
Also checked out the new single from Wet Leg, CPR. Very fun. Listen, I just like their brand of horny punk rock. Like, I'm super into that. So I'm looking forward to the album. I think it hits in July, so should be a highlight this summer. And then I listened to the new Addison Rae single, Fame is a Gun. This is my favorite of the bunch. I know you're waiting because she's released so many singles ahead of the album.
It's enough already.
It is a little bit. I get that. Yeah. But at the same time, like, I'm legitimately excited for this album. Like, I think it could be the sleeper hit of the year, to be honest.
It's one of my most looked forward to albums of this year, which I can't believe I'm saying.
Who knew? Right?
Who knew? But everything she's done so far, I'm like 100% in. Like, nothing has been like meh. Like, everything's been like, oh hell yeah, everything. Yeah. So yeah, I am waiting on this last one. I hear it's really great. But I want to have something to look forward to when the album drops. So I'm holding back on that one for now.
Yeah. Yeah, I was texting you about this, but she's been doing some interviews ahead of this album release, and she said just something so incredible. The interviews were asking her about, like, when she was doing those early, like, dances and everything on TikTok that made her famous. It's like, how did you choose the music that you're listening to, and how does that, like, inform, your choices now? And she was basically like, she was like, well, it was strategic in that, like, I was trying to get views. So it's like, I wanted to pick songs that she was like, are doing well. But at the end of the day, she was like, taste and choice with her music is kind of a luxury that she's been able to give herself now. Where in the early days, she was like, okay, I'm using this as a launching off point, but my goal is always beyond this. And so I'm just trying to get out of this TikTok thing, but I have to, like, build a following. I can't really be my authentic self yet. And so now this is her opportunity to do that. And I just thought that was so, like, introspective and very informative of this current era of music that we're in, that, we demand so much from our artists that we want them to be authentic and we want them to be real and grounded and unique and all these things. But it's like, yeah, but you have to have a platform first. And it's like, that's more than ever. I mean, you see that even in movies now, like, actors are getting cast based on their social media following. And it's just like, having a personal brand is so important now that, like, just building that equity is kind of the first step that you need to take. And so it's really, I just thought it was really fascinating and, like, very open of her to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very thoughtful. A really, really interesting perspective. And I'm glad that she was able to really share that. Like, I'm glad that she wasn't media trained out of that. You know what I mean?
Same. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Oh, did you want to talk about the Renee Rapp single at all? What you thought of it?
Oh yeah. It's called Leave Me Alone.
Yeah.
I like it. It's very much in the vein of, like, she kind of has two modes. She kind of has, like, the grungy pop rock kind of mode, and then like the auteur ballad belty mode. And I I sometimes am here for the rocky kind of stuff, but I think I'd prefer her more in the like vocal prowess kind of thing. Just because her voice is so insane. So where I fell on this one is I really love the chorus. I think she's got a great hook. The verses I found a little meh.
That's the complete opposite of how I felt. I think the chorus is super unmemorable and forgettable, but the "Leave me alone, bitch, I want to have fun" repetition is
that
actually really interesting to me. Okay, I find it a bit grating. I get that.
Yeah,
it is very brat.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like everyone's trying to do brat now.
Yeah,
I want good things for her. It's just so fucking hard to break out of Broadway. Like once you're established as that, getting into the pop world is really, really, really hard. And so I'm rooting for her, but I don't know how successful she can truly be, because it's just like that audience that the problem is the audience that gets you there is not the audience that continues to grow you, because like there's no crossover there. And so the problem is she's going to have to attract a lot of new people to her.
Right.
And like outside of Gen Z lesbians, I'm not really sure what her like target demographic is. And so I'm just like, how is she going to get to that next level? But I'm rooting for her because I'm a big fan of her. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I think the part I'm struggling with is what I like most about Renee is her personality, which is like really kind of like totally unfiltered, you know, wild, off the cuff kind of stuff. Like I love her interviews because she just cracks me up. She just says whatever she wants.
So her stuff with Amy Poehler on her podcast was just phenomenal. So it's all over my TikTok right now.
It seems like she has no media training whatsoever, and I hope she never gets it. Like that's what I love. And the part that's so weird for me is this song that she just released. I think they're trying to lean into that a little bit.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Do a song that kind of plays into that vein of her personality, but for some reason musically it's not working for me. Yeah, her personality works for me, but it's not translating to the music, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I don't know. I'm in wait and see mode on her whole thing because I just don't know.
Yeah,
but it was a fun song. I like it. Like I listen to it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the album for sure.
Same.
Because I did like Snow Angel. Snow Angel I thought was a really great debut effort. And lots of good stuff came from that. But it definitely was kind of her trying to find what part stuck. Like Snow Angel, the single was very ballady, right? Huge voice stuff. Then there's a lot of like kind of R&B-ish stuff, like Tummy Hurts. There's and like Poison, and then there's the pop rock stuff. It's kind of all over the place. Yeah. And I think they're trying to find where she sits. And I think all of those pockets are just kind of oversaturated right now, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's actually a very interesting transition into talking about Miley. So I feel like this is the moment to talk about it. So Miley Cyrus came out with her new album, Something Beautiful, on Friday. So we're going to do a deep dive of that. But I think this is a great transition because, Miley herself has never really fit into a bucket. And
never.
This is yet another example of a genre change. It's still in the realm of pop, but it is a different thing than anything she's done before. Definitely. And I think my first thought about this album in general, and just like about her career, is she may not be a master of any of these styles that she dabbles in, but she's incredibly competent in all of them. And that's freaking insane. Like that's really hard to be like that good at so many different things. And like it's the way that she's able to dance in those different genres while keeping her authenticity that I think has led to her career being so long ranging and kept her relevant even when she's not even touring. So like it's really impressive, honestly, because like authenticity seems to be the number one thing you need now in the game. It was like we're just too close to everyone, so you can't be fake. You have to be real. And Miley's ability to be real in so many different modes is really cool. There's not many people like her.
No, she's a chameleon. I mean, she's absolutely a chameleon. And I think the cool part about her is that I think she genuinely has a passion for every style that she's tried on. Like it's never felt.
I do too. Yeah.
It's never felt. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for right now, but it's never felt forced. Like it's never felt like she's just like trying it on for a moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want that. And then discarding it. It feels like every time she's tried on a different hat, it's felt authentic for her in that moment. Which I think is cool. And it doesn't always work for me. I would say Miley's batting average for me is not very high. I think she misses a lot more than she hits for me as in terms of whole projects.
Yes, I agree.
And I guess maybe let's just come out and say it. Is this a hit for you?
Yes, with some caveats. But yes, okay. I do quite like this album.
This is her biggest hit for me yet. I think this is very easily, and maybe this is a hot take, I think this is very, very easily her best record yet. And it doesn't come close.
Okay, here's where I'm still gathering my thoughts, honestly, on what I think about that. Because I think Endless Summer Vacation is her best example of songwriting. I think those songs are all very good. And I don't think all the songs in this are very good. But the production's incredible. The cohesiveness is incredible. The sort of mission statement of the album is really felt, and it feels like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I didn't feel that way about Endless Summer Vacation. So I guess that it's between those two for me. Like I definitely, those are the only two I would consider. Plastic Hearts is a fun genre exploration, but it's mostly a miss for me. And then, something like Bangers is just like tough. What was her 2017 album with Malibu?
Younger Now.
Yeah, that one doesn't work for me either. That one is just a lot of misses for me. So it's pretty much just these two, these most recent ones, and I'm still deciding which one I like more.
Okay, me too. I think Endless Summer Vacation and Something Beautiful are her strongest, and that's definitely a hot take. Like people are going to be just storming our podcast to tell us how wrong we are, because
that's fine.
Plastic Hearts is so beloved, I think, by the fandom and the public. And I think derivative, by the way, is the word I was thinking of. I think
okay. It doesn't feel derivative.
Plastic Hearts, I think, is the closest she got to being a little bit derivative. Like it sounds like she very much like. It sounds like she very much transported herself into like the 70s and 80s and just did that. Right?
I mean, the biggest song on that album is literally just a counter melody of Edge of 17.
Edge of 17, exactly. Yeah. So that album does not work for me as a whole. There are bangers on there, and Midnight Sky, albeit a just recreation of Edge of 17, I think really is fantastic.
I do too, by the way.
yeah. I think that Endless Summer Vacation and this are the strongest efforts from her in terms of full bodies of work. But I will say, in the retrospective, like in hindsight, Endless Summer Vacation kind of just feels like the Flowers album to me.
I agree.
In the moment, I really loved it, but I don't return to it a whole lot.
Same.
And I think the shadow of Flowers is a little too big. I think Flowers just took all of the energy of that album and ran and won the Grammy, and fantastic. But I don't know how much of the album I go back to or remember. I think that there are seeds of Endless Summer Vacation in Something Beautiful, and I think she took a lot of what she was starting on that album and perfected it in this. That's my
okay
take.
Yeah I what I like about it is like it's definitely a pop record. It's not rock or like whatever Bangers is. And I mean there's some stuff on Bangers that's actually pop music, but you know what I mean? Like it's
but
all,
as a whole, it's like
it's
crazy.
all over the place. But yeah, it's definitely like pop. It's very like kind of proggy pop and not like the Czech Republic. There's a lot of weirdly I felt like a lot of Donna Summer in this album. That was someone who came to mind a lot.
I could see that. And
there's some earnestness that I haven't heard from her in a long time. That felt very much like it's from her like Hannah Montana days. Like some of these songs feel like spiritual successors to The Climb. Like they're like really like like reaching for something, like it's very vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable album.
Super vulnerable. Yeah. I think it's probably her most personal yet.
I agree. And yet at the same time, because of the production, it seems so like ethereal and like huge
Yeah.
and not,
Yep.
you know, self-contained in
Right.
that way, you know?
No, it's not. It's not a singer-songwriter album by any
Right.
means.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that's more Endless Summer Vacation, really. Where it's just
Yes,
like, and
for
here's some
sure.
songs I wrote, you know? This feels
Exactly.
like we
No,
took
this
them places,
is.
yeah.
If I had one word to describe this album, it's cinematic. Like
Very,
it
and
does,
which is exciting because we're gonna get the visuals.
which is
But
fitting because exactly we'll get the visual album. I am perplexed. I think why we didn't get the visual album just with the drop of the album.
yes, I
I'm
agree.
not sure why she decided to separate that because I think we're gonna get so much more context once we see the visuals for this.
Yes.
And I mean, even like the prelude and the interludes, like clearly something very important is happening there, but
Yeah.
we don't get that just with the music. So I'm curious why her decision was that, and I haven't found an interview she's done that really explains why she has decided to release them separately. But yeah, I am looking forward to maybe getting that missing piece.
How are
of
we
this.
getting the visual album? Is it in theaters? Is it on streaming? Or
I do think it's getting a theatrical release first, and then we'll probably get it
okay,
just on YouTube or something after that. I don't really know exactly where it goes after the theaters.
just put it on streaming, guys. Like it's hard enough for me to get to a movie that's like a movie. You know what I mean? Like
I know.
a visual album, I'm not going to go to the theater for.
I know.
I love you, Miley,
I know.
but you know, it's
Yeah.
that's tough. And see if it's on Disney Plus or Netflix. You know, that's cool. Like it's like, oh, it's an event now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm also confused by this. I guess the only argument is like when you want to go see a Broadway show and you listen to the cast album to get you excited.
Yeah.
That's
I
sort of
guess.
like the only reason I can think of why you'd want it. This to like drum up excitement and get people interested in the songs in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's
a little weird.
You know, I don't know that it's working for her though, unfortunately.
Yeah,
like,
it seems to not be catching on.
The album is doing okay, but none of the pre-released singles really caught fire.
No.
And then unfortunately, just, you know, due to the nature of it, you know, Taylor's announcement definitely played a role in burying it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, not to the fault of Taylor necessarily, but
no, and like we've criticized her in the past for that, and I don't
we
think
have.
that,
I don't think
truly
this is
think
an
this
example
just,
of that.
This just was random. This just happened.
I agree, and I think you know, regardless of whether or not Taylor did that, I think unfortunately Morgan Wallen would have buried Miley anyway in terms of the charts.
Yeah.
And so, but anyways, all that to say, like I don't know that release strategy is going to work for her in the long run, not doing the visual album with it. I think she probably could have gotten a lot more attention on her had she released them simultaneously, but I guess
I agree. Because yeah, it's just I'm not hearing or getting conversations about this album yet, and I'm not sure that it's going to happen at all, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither.
But I do think it's a project worthy of talking about. So I don't want to like discredit it in that way just because it hasn't gotten the attention that probably she was hoping for. I mean, the sad reality is like there's no Walmart song on this album, Flowers. So it's going to be hard. Yeah, there's no hit. So it's going to be hard.
There's one that I think could become a hit.
Oh, Easy Lover.
If it's marketed correctly. Easy Lover.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it. I do think that could become the biggest song of this cycle, but nothing is going to be Flowers level.
The thing about Easy Lover is it's like a music lovers song. It's not like
that's fair.
It's not like one of those people that's like, I like music, I like songs.
Yeah,
they're not going to be like, oh, Easy Lover is a big hit. I don't think.
Yeah,
you know,
it will definitely not get to Flowers level, but I do think that it could be a moderate hit for her if she plays her cards.
I agree. And actually, there's another song on here that I think potentially, if she plays it right and markets it the right way, potentially. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay. Why don't we start the deep dive officially? So we have the album opens with, is it Prelude? Is the first song?
The Prelude. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta pull up the track list here.
Which, you know, lyrically, I haven't dove in super headfirst.
I meant to, and I have not. Yeah.
It's early still. It only came out 2 days ago, so give us some grace here. But I did follow along the lyrics of the Prelude this morning, just because I had no idea what she was talking about. So, but it's a lot of just kind of repeated statements about how she finds beauty in the world and wants to share it, but a lot of the time it's like you know, being behind closed doors or finding, you know, seeing beauty through the window in your house, but not actually getting to go out and enjoy it. It's kind of vague stuff like that is the whole prelude. Just kind of talking about the beauty in the world, but wanting connection to share it with.
Yeah.
I think.
And I think musically what it does is sets up, you know, this is an album.
Yes.
So, you know, it's very Ariana
100%.
Grande-esque, actually, the first song. Where it's
it's very clear it's very clear from the beginning that we're doing an album and not just a collection of songs.
Yes, agreed.
Which you know I love.
Yeah. I mean, so there's not a lot to say about Prelude. Otherwise, it does a good job like setting the tone.
I think musically, it's super cool though. Like,
very cool.
The theme we're going to come back to, I think, 1,000,004 times is that the production and engineering and mixing on this album is some of the best I have heard in pop music in a very long time.
Redonkulous.
It is actually insane how expertly this album is engineered. And we get that right from the beginning with the prelude. And it's going to continue throughout the entire track list. So
100%. Sean Everett was the primary producer of this album, whose resume we looked up over the weekend and we're just like absolutely floored by. This man has worked on some of my favorite albums of all time. He mixed Golden Hour. He mixed Father the Bride by Vampire Weekend. He worked on Immunity, the Clairo album. He worked on SOS by SZA. Just like an outstanding, incredible resume of song. What are some other ones that popped out to you?
Bonkers. The Bon Iver album that I have on display.
Oh
here,
yeah, the one
Sable Fable, the one that just came out this year.
Out.
He worked on that. Starcross by Casey Musgraves was another one. He worked on Women in Music Part 3 by Haim.
Right. He worked on some. Did you work on Don't Forget Me, Maggie Rogers?
Yep. He worked on Don't Forget Me.
It seems
Maggie
like he works with Ian Fitchick a lot.
Yes. So they seem to have some sort of pairing. Deeper Well. So I mean, just crazy.
Absurd.
I was floored when I saw his resume. And Miley talks about him on the Zane Lowe interview and said she really had no idea who he was, but she was working with one of her collaborators, Michael, and he was, I guess they were like at a party or something, and Sean Everett walked in and Michael was like, "Oh my God, that's the guy. That is the guy." And Miley's like, "I don't know who that is." And he's like, basically like, if you want greatness, like you go to Sean Everett. And she was like, "Well, great, now I have to work with him." And that's basically how it happened. So they introduced each other and she fell in love with him basically, and
nice.
And that's how they got connected. But she spoke very, very, very highly of him in her interview.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So I mean, things that have come out recently, the only things that are like in this same vein in terms of like level of production, I think. Oh, another one he worked on is Big Ideas, which is actually one that came to mind. The Remy Wolf album. But yeah, the ones that have really blown me away in the last couple of years: Big Ideas, Magdalena Bay's album, Hit Me Hard and Soft, and then this. Honestly, like that's
this
like
is right
my
in
list.
line with those.
Yeah.
100%.
Anyway, shout out to the production across this whole thing. It's phenomenal.
It's crazy.
It's like it's really next level, and it will take me a long time to digest, to be honest.
Oh yeah. This is definitely a good headphones kind of an album.
Yes,
for sure.
Heavily improved, I would say, actually, by listening in good headphones. I have done it.
Agreed.
In the car, I've done it on my AirPods, and I've done it on my nice headphones, and the difference on the nice headphones is pretty remarkable for this album.
It is pretty remarkable. I agree.
Yeah. That's not to say it doesn't play well on others, but definitely for the audiophiles out there, this is a good one.
Yeah. I heard it first in my car. Actually, the first couple times I heard it was in my car.
Yeah,
and then I did part of it in my AirPods, and then this morning I was like, before I get on this podcast, I have to listen with my good.
That's exactly what I did this morning. Is when I listened.
I did that this morning, and I was like, oh, this is different.
It's very different.
So yeah, it's next level. Kudos, round of applause for the production, because wow. All right, so after Prelude, we have what? We have Something Beautiful, the title track.
Yeah, she released ahead of time. Cool song. Not my favorite, but interesting.
It has grown on me a lot in context.
Okay,
I will say. When I first heard it, I was like, okay. But in context, although still not one of my favorites, I do the part where it drops, right? That happens a few times throughout when you get the crazy guitar distortion and the distortion on the vocal.
Sounds like a death.
I do think that part is super, super, super cool.
I
think the kind of jazzier ballady part of it I'm less interested in, but it makes the switch up that much more exciting. So yeah. I like this more as I'm listening to the album in full, and I think it's a good place to start.
You know what album weirdly popped into my head a few times listening to this because of the constant like switch ups even within songs is the 2020 Experience by Justin Timberlake, where it feels like you've got these like sort of like one idea and then we're tacking a second idea on at the end. And
for sure.
Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't, but it is cool. I like
it is cool,
that style of writing pop music.
Me too. And Billy did that a lot on Hit Me Hard and Soft.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't have much to say about Something Beautiful other than it's a grower. It's growing on me currently.
It does.
I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. And another thing about this album is I do feel like there are like, 13 tracks?
Yeah.
I feel like there are like 6 songs on it. Do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that I feel that way entirely. I mean, like obviously there's the interludes that don't feel like songs.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there are like some songs that are just almost like getting you to another song, and then there's just like these there's just like these moments that happen where you lock in, and then the first one's coming up here. And then it's
really
like,
only
okay, we're here
song.
now.
Other than the interludes, there's only one song in the album that does that for me. The rest I feel like are songs.
Okay, so I feel like Something Beautiful and The Prelude are both leading up to End of the World.
End of the World. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. End of the World has grown on me tremendously.
I fear this is a banger.
I don't know about you.
Yeah.
It's a banger.
It gets stuck in my head a lot.
Banger.
Yeah.
Yep. Me too. I felt when I first heard it, I was like, yeah, I like this. This is good. Like moderate hit. Okay, cool. We're doing ABBA.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I kind of just forgot about it. I'm now all in. I'm all in for End of the World. I
love that verse when it's like, let's spend the money you've been saving on a Mercedes Benz. Like that.
And I love how she says the word Benz.
Yeah,
Benz.
That's actually another common theme of this album. The way she says certain words, awesome. I love it.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now.
Yes.
Yeah. She just like, she just like says things weird. And I love
it's
who
great.
Say things weird.
Me too. It's so awesome.
It's like this weird like combination of like chain smoking and also country. It's like,
there's like a real twang to some things that she sings, and it's awesome.
There is.
It just comes out of nowhere, and then you're like,
yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah. But I think this style suits her very well. I love how big these songs are. They just feel so
big.
Stadium ready and just visual and again cinematic. And
I do hope she tours eventually.
So she talked about this on Zane Lowe. But she actually has a polyp on her vocal cord that she refuses to get rid of, essentially, because it gives her kind of that rasp.
Yeah,
and she's like, I pride myself on having such a unique sound, and I don't want to ruin that and possibly wake up from surgery and have an entirely different voice. She's like, I'm not willing to risk it, and so I do my best to protect what I have. And she's like, I would love to tour again. I have so many ideas for tour, but I don't know that it's sustainable for me, given that. So yeah, I guess we'll see, but I don't foresee it.
Makes sense. That's sad, but it makes sense. Because so many of these songs are like, I feel like they would be very fun live.
I agree.
So, but yeah, End of the World really, really snuck up on me. I've actually really grown to love this song.
Me too. Me too. It's super fun.
Okay, and then we have More to Lose. Any thoughts on this one?
So this one was also pre-released. Another one that I waited to listen to. Until the album. I think this is a spectacular ballad. Like I'm not a ballad girly usually, but I think this is really excellent.
Yeah, I like the lyric about you look like a movie star in your worn out coat. What is I forget the actual line there. There's some really cool imagery in this song that I really enjoy.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think the chorus is really sticky. I'm a sucker for a key change. That key change at the end is
Yeah.
fantastic. And it builds. It really builds. Like, despite this being like a very stripped back ballad, again, the production just keeps you interested and engaged the entire way through, which I think you need on a song like this. Again, lyrics I haven't dove in super far yet, but I think musically, this is one of her best recorded vocal performances that she's ever given.
Yeah, I agree with that. And in fact, she just sounds freaking awesome in this whole album.
Whole record, yeah.
Yeah, she just sounds awesome. A lot of these songs are super singable too. Like, I it's like a weird thing to say, but like they're just like written well to sing.
Yes,
you know,
which is vital for my music listening. I agree. That out many times.
I agree. Like, I'm belting these songs, and because of her unique vocal range, these are fun to like. I like to sing them in her octave when I'm like in the car by myself. It's awesome. She's like basically a tenor, so it's like it's fun. You know,
she is. Yeah, but she pulls out some crazy notes.
Oh, she sure does.
Every once in a while. No, I think More to Lose like is a huge standout for me. And that I think there's something really to be said about that, because usually if a ballad is really spectacular, it takes me probably a few months to notice it. This one I noticed right away and said, oh yeah, that's a standout. So I think it's a really special ballad.
Cool. So we have More to Lose, and then we go into interlude number 1. I mean, this is an interlude. Anything we want to say about an interlude?
It's cool. I mean, it sounds really cool.
Yeah.
It sounds really cool. And I love the way it flows into Easy Lover.
Yeah, me too. So Easy Lover, obviously one of the best songs of the album. This is
one of my favorite songs of the year, probably.
Yeah, it's a great song. Yeah.
All right, so you ready for the lore drop for this one that she dropped in Zane Lowe? Okay. This was written around Plastic Hearts era, and she just could never get it right. And when she found out a little known artist named Beyonce was looking for songs for a little known album called Cowboy Carter, she pitched 2 songs, one called Shotgun Rider, which ended up being 2 Most Wanted, and one called Easy Lover. And there is a very small part in Easy Lover where she says, "Tell him B," and she left it in because it was originally supposed to be on Cowboy Carter for Beyonce.
Whoa.
And Beyonce ended up not taking it, and Miley kept it for herself, which I'm thrilled about. By the way.
Me too.
I think this would have been awesome on Cowboy Carter, but I think this is a Miley song.
Yeah.
And she said, "I don't know what I'm going to do about the Tell 'em B." And Brittany Howard, who is credited in a later track, said, "Well, I'll just do the guitar solo there." And Tell 'em B becomes Brittany Howard. So
that's sick.
So that's the Lord drop for that. But when you listen to it in that context, when you go back to listen to it, it really does sound like it could be like a Bodyguard or something on Cowboy Carter.
Yeah, and it makes sense that it came out of the Plastic Hearts era, because it is like very of that moment.
It is.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's just a great song.
Oh my gosh. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I think it's the centerpiece of the album for me. I think it's the best song in the album. It has all of the makings of a great pop record. Yeah. For me. And even though the production is a little bit more, quasi rock and country-ish, it's got kind of that feeling of, I don't know, outdoorsiness, the Wild West kind of a feel, but still feels so pop centric, which I love.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely feels like it straddles the line well, and a couple different genres. It's really driven by that bass line. I really love the bass line. There's another song with a really sick bass line that I'll get to later, but instrumentation is amazing and just really complements it perfectly.
The descending melody on the words "Easy Lover" that gets repeated over and over again.
It's a really cool rhythm. Easy Lover. It's like it's not exactly what you expect. Funky. Yeah.
It's a little syncopated at the end there.
Yeah,
which I like. Yeah, it's super sticky. It's just a juicy pop song. It is absolutely fantastic. Love it. It's so good. It really is the only one other than End of the World, which I think had a shot at being a good hit. But obviously did not stick very well. I think this is the only one you can pull out of context and it works.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay. All right.
All
Great.
right. Then we have Interlude 2, which is just a banger.
My favorite part of the album.
That's so fair. That's so fair. It's really,
I
really
wish I could
cool.
tell you I'm lying. Although Easy Lover, I think, is my favorite song. I think my favorite moment of this album is Interlude 2.
Oh, okay. I have a similar but different take, which is that my favorite song is not my favorite moment. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Interlude 2 goes so hard. I want to go to a club and just hear Interlude 2 on repeat and just dance to that all night long. It's so good. I love Interlude 2. But up next is what? Golden Burning Sun?
Yes.
Okay, so here's my one qualm with this album. I think this album is spectacular. My one qualm with this album is this sequencing, because I don't understand how Interlude 2 leads into Golden Burning Sun.
I kind of agree with that. However, I think Golden Burning Sun is my favorite.
Okay, I love Golden Burning Sun. It was initially a snooze for me. The first time I heard it, it was not clicking.
It's a grower,
but it's a grower. That chorus is awesome.
It's
the
nuts.
surrender part.
Yeah.
Oh,
the way she sounds on that is
sounds
just like
so good. Yes.
And this is one of the ones I was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
This was one of the ones I was thinking of when I was mentioning earlier that it feels very earnest. Like this song is so earnest, in a really refreshing way. And this is actually the other one I think could be a hit in the right context. If she aims for like the urban contemporary thing, that's not the right. No.
Like
not urban contemporary. Adult contemporary. Yes. Yeah. If we're aiming towards that crowd, I think this could do well.
For sure. Like aiming for the Die With a Smile type of thing.
Yes, exactly. Because I was like, Die With a Smile worked. This has a shot too.
Yeah.
You know.
My take with this song is this is what Ali and AJ have been trying to do for the past 3 years, but doing it better. Oopsie. Sorry.
That's so fair. The song Lasso from Silver Deliverer though is fire. You need to check out Lasso at the very least, you know. But I kind of agree.
Yeah. This is the sound that really I feel like they've been reaching for, but this one just sounds so much better to me. Like because it still sounds of the moment, but it's got that really classic kind of Fleetwood Mac-y kind of feel. But has melody that you can sing along to and is memorable. And I feel
sounds
like that's
modern at the same time.
Yes.
Which is one of my biggest frustration with Ali and AJ lately is that I understand being inspired by vintage and it's really cool live, but I think on the record you just you have to sound modern at the same time. It can't just be truly an homage because it doesn't really work. I mean, look at the Joe album, for instance. Like, it's super classic rock influence, but it also feels very fresh. And I think this, it's not like the most quantifiable thing either or ever, but that's why you work with a Sean Everett, you know, because like he's just that good. So he knows how to make it work. Yeah. And that's my challenge for Ali and AJ. Just like find a really, really great producer to work with next time. Because I think all the bones are there. I just want them to like really lock in on the sound that's like gonna sell them records, honestly.
I agree. No, but I think this song is really great. And yes, earnest is a really good word for it. And it feels like Miley has always been someone who I feel like has walls. You know what I mean? Like she's built up a lot of walls to protect herself, and she was a child star. So like, what child star has not had to put up walls 100%. To protect themselves?
Traumatic as shit.
This one feels like we're breaking down walls a little bit. Yes, and we're just being super honest and telling us about the kind of love she's really looking for. Yeah, which I love. But going back to my sequencing, I wish this came directly after Easy Lover. I wish we could flop.
Yes, and then Interlude 2 goes in a Walk of Fame.
In a Walk of Fame, I feel like that would work so much better. Way better. Yeah. So
this song needs an interlude after it.
Yes.
It's one of those, like, it's a big moment you want an interlude after.
Well, and it ends so atmospheric. It ends very ethereal-like, and I feel like fade that into an interlude would work really well.
I agree.
I don't know. That's my one qualm.
Yeah, I think it's super fair. I agree. Walk of Fame. Let's talk about this one because this actually has disco. Yeah, this is Donna Summer. This is like there's
Yes.
two that are very Donna Summer. And this is one of them.
Yep.
This was what I was referencing when I said my favorite moment of the album. The final like 2
Okay.
minutes when you get the soaring, oh, and you get like like that like really cool vocal.
The
there.
really
It's
grungy voice.
yeah. Oh my! I'm assuming that's
God,
Brittany
it's
Howard in both
so good.
instances.
I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is.
Incredible. Like I want
Incredible.
like that's my give me 14 and more of these, you know, like that. Yeah. I'm like, wow. Because actually the first half of the song is like fine for me, and then the second half is like next level. I love it.
Yes, I love the first couple times I heard it. I was like, are we overstaying our welcome a little bit too long at the end here?
Okay, not at the end for me.
It was at the end for me.
Okay.
The
Fair
first
enough.
couple times I heard it, I was like, this sounds so cool, but are we overstaying our welcome? I don't feel that way anymore. It's just sick.
Yeah.
But my other biggest takeaway from this is the verses incredible, the ending incredible. The chorus for me wasn't landing the first couple times, but it is growing on me.
Okay.
It is growing on me. Now that I know what I'm expecting, I actually quite like the chorus, but I think there's another song later in the album that kind of does this sound, but has a killer chorus. So it's just kind of, it's a toss up because I think
chorus
the
is the
production
weak
in
point
this one is incredible
of the song for me. It's the weak point.
Yeah. Agreed. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. But I think the verses are spectacular. And there's like this synth hit that happens on an offbeat in like every 8 bars of the verse that just like every time it happens, I'm like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good.
I love the breakdown in the middle too. The breakdown's sick.
Yes. Me too.
Before they go into the soaring vocal part, you know?
Yep. Me too. And again, the way it builds at the end, like a song that builds.
Yeah. Give me a song. Give me a song that builds.
I love a song that builds. Shoot. I just love it. And Donna Summer is a really good comp here that I did not think of. So nicely done. I
probably wouldn't have thought of that if I didn't see the Donna Summer musical a couple of years ago. This is like, I wasn't super familiar with like her whole discography, but after seeing that, I have a pretty good idea of what she sounded like. And so I'm like, I can hear it now when it comes up. I'm like, okay.
I think I learned more about her through Renaissance when Beyonce dropped Renaissance.
Oh,
there was a lot of I mean, Summer Renaissance is literally a Donna Summer sample.
Yeah.
So, and this sounds like it is very much in that mode. So,
for sure.
Yeah. Love Walk of Fame.
Agreed.
Walk of Fame. One of the highlights for me.
Same. So, and then we get You Pretend You're God. This is where the album starts to like lose a little steam for me, if I'm being honest.
This is the skip for me.
Yeah. It's tough. The only thing I like about this song is the bass line, which I was referencing before. This is the one with the cool bass line. That keeps me in it, but otherwise I'm just not.
I keep thinking there's something in this song, but it's not entirely clicking for me yet. Like I think I'm like sensing seeds of something every time I listen to it that like months from now I'm going to be like, oh, I get it now. Mm-hmm. I do feel like that's going to be this song for me, but as of right now, it just kind of washes over me a little bit. This is the one song in the album that feels like it's just happening to get you to the next thing.
Yeah, it could be the sleeper. Who knows? Like, in our Mayhem podcast, I would never have said that. What's the one she ends the Coachella set with? Vanish Into You would be like one of my favorites from the album, but it is now. And that one just like really, really grew on me. So, you know, you never know what songs are just going to stay with you more.
Right. Yeah, you don't. And none of the makings of this song have like immediate standout, grab your attention kind of thing, which means that it could be one of those things that later on, when all of the like shininess of some of the big standouts has faded a little bit, you're like, oh shit, this is actually really great. I feel like that could be this song for me, but as of this moment, as of this recording, it's not doing much for me.
Agreed. Okay, so we're on the same page on this. We're honestly been on the same page like this entire time, which is
we really have. Yeah,
pretty refreshing for us. We haven't had this in a while.
I know. I know. I feel like we disagreed a lot this year.
We have. We're finding a lot of common ground on this one.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Every girl you've ever loved is next, right?
Yes.
Damn, I love this song.
This is a good
This
one.
is
This is another
my
Donna
second
summary.
This is the gay club song.
It's the gay club song, 100%.
This is the gay club song. This is my
Yes.
other favorite. It's this and Easy Lover for me.
Okay,
That are
that's
just
so
gonna
fair.
like. I'm
This
gonna
is
be
not,
listening
as
forever.
I've said before, this Chromatica, not my genre, you know?
Yep, I get it.
That's okay. It's a good song, though. Like,
Yep. We're doing some Vogue stuff, right?
it's very Vogue.
We have the supermodel Naomi Campbell doing spoken word, which is iconic.
Shout out when Naomi Campbell appeared on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's the first time I ever saw her in anything. So good,
Oh my
good stuff.
god.
I know she's been
TBT.
around. She's been around.
Yeah. No, this song is when I was saying there's a song later in the album that kind of does the same thing, but actually has a chorus. I was talking about this one.
Yeah.
The chorus on this one is soaring, and she is just like belting her face off in this chorus. It's perfection for me. The ending when Naomi does like the Vogue kind of stuff, and then the pose, and it builds and builds and builds and builds, and then she goes to the pose, and then it just like all drops out. Man, God, the production on this one is I mean, I'm gonna say that about every single track on this album, but this one is doing a lot for me. It's doing big things.
It's really fun. It's a fun
things.
song.
It's super fun. Love the verses. The part that keeps every time it's happened, I forget it's happening, and every time it happens, I'm like, oh my god, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. Is the second chorus when it starts, the instrumental drops out, and it's just her voice.
Oh,
and it doesn't do that
yeah.
in any of the other choruses, but it does it on the second chorus, and every time it does it, I'm like, oh man, that was such a good choice that I would not have thought of, and it's perfect every time. I love unexpected shit like that.
Yeah, that's when they get you. They're like,
It is when they get you. Man,
you're in now.
So good. I love this one.
Okay, yeah, this is definitely a highlight as well for me. And then Reborn. I want more from this song. I don't know what it is. I just do.
I love this one.
You love this one?
I
Okay,
love it.
that's fair.
Love
It's cool. Maybe this is the one I feel like the pretend you're God thing of like, I think I will like this eventually. It's just not there for me yet.
Yeah. I mean, we're still kind of in the gay clubs here.
100%. Yeah, we are.
In Reborn. I really like the repeated mantra, if heaven exists, I've been there before, kill my ego, let's be reborn. I love how that ends the verse, and then the melody is flipped for the chorus. Like it's like a counter melody. Like the melodies are different.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of I guess you could kind of call it a pre-chorus. It kind of starts out as a pre-chorus, and then the melody totally flips on its axis and changes. It's the same words, but different melody, and that becomes the chorus. I really love that.
Interesting. I didn't even realize that
juxtaposition. Yeah, it's really fun. I can't think of a time when I've really heard that happening in music. Like I can't think of a song that does that same thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's like the 365 thing of like, it's the same thing, but the music changes around it so much that it feels different. But this is like,
okay, that's fair. But that's all spoken word. It's not really. Yeah, it's not really a melody. So, but this one, it's the same words for both the pre-chorus and the chorus, but different melodies, and I think it's really cool.
That's cool.
I don't know. I really like it. This one feels very ethereal to me, which I guess makes sense because she, in her Zane Lowe interview, she talked about how those words that I just said came from one of her collaborators who was literally in church, and that just like came to them. They wrote it down, so it feels very cathedral like. This whole song does. It feels like we're going to church at the gay clubs.
Yeah, gay church, baby.
Does that make sense?
That's Muna's Batman signal.
It is.
It's funny. I was gonna say, you remember last year when everyone was talking about the Saturn return?
Yes, Katie. It was Saturn Return summer.
This year it's Ego Death. We get this. We get the new Lord single directly references Ego Death. We had like the entire plot of the White Lotus this season was just like Buddhism and the death of ego and all that stuff. I was like, this is our new. We're in this moment now. Okay, cool.
I don't know how it happens, but it always seems to.
Yeah.
By the way, my Saturn Return I think is coming when we're in Italy.
Shit.
I wrote it down.
It lasts 3 years. I mean, like
I did a star chart, and that's like when my Saturn is like supposed to start.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
I know.
I will tell you, I really buy into that. Honestly, like how I felt when I was 27, 28 and like not knowing what I wanted to do with my life versus now, where it's like materially things aren't that different, but like my sense of direction is wildly different, and my sense of peace and like knowing myself is super different. So I do believe in that. I think it's really interesting. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Anyways, so that was Reborn, which I actually particularly like, but I will agree with you that it didn't stand out for me initially. It took a few listens for me to get it, and now I love it. And I love how there's the repeated "Give me all your love, give me all your love," and then it ends
into
"Give me love," and then into "Give me love." Yeah,
good stuff.
I think is a perfect ending.
Written the verses of the song feel like they're written by Stephen Schwartz. Do they not? Like, it's very interesting.
I'll have to go back and listen.
Fascinating. I love it. Like, it's super interesting.
Very musical theater-esque.
It's very, the imagery is like very like fantasy-esque. And
it
like,
is. There's a lot of
it reminded me of like
song.
Pippin or Godspell. I don't know, like old school. It's not necessarily Wicked.
I'll have to go.
Or even like some of his Disney stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like Colors of the Wind or something. It's just like, I don't know why, but this is just maybe I don't think the chorus is that way, but the verses are. It's weird.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I'll have to go re-listen.
But again, love the lyrics on this song. Really cool lyrics.
I do too. This is such a beautiful ending to this album. And I love that I find this in my mind, this is the reprise of End of the World, because they both do the kind of chorus. Like the chorus is just oohs and ahs, right?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of feel, and this feels like kind of we're closing the chapter. It kind of feels like we've come full circle.
It's a good ending for sure.
Yeah. I really like this. I think it's gorgeous. A gorgeous ending.
Okay. That's something beautiful.
So this is an album of the year contender for me.
I agree, actually talking about this, I'm getting really there's a lot of intentionality in this album, and I like that.
There is.
I really appreciate that. I've been needing that from music this year. So
me too.
Yeah, I will keep this one on. I'm thinking it's gonna age pretty well.
It just feels like she had such a clear vision. Like, Miley does not get enough credit for being such a visionary, and this is the first time it's ever really culminated in a full project for me. Yes, and I think when she is left to just like do her thing, I think that she creates something really special. And she actually talks about how she didn't even realize how much she wanted that Grammy and how much she feels like she needed that recognition. And when she won it, she was like, oh, I'm free to do whatever the fuck I want. And that's what this is.
That's cool.
So it is cool. So and who knows, like, because she was given that freedom, this feels like the most Grammy, worthy.
I mean, I agree.
So
at least for like an album category, I do think that this will,
and even if she doesn't get nominated, I think she created something really special. Here.
I mean, I really think she should. I mean, it's a down year, it
is,
and it's a complete project, and that just haven't been very many of those this year. So
no, there haven't. I have like 4 album of the year contenders right now. And none of them have quite cemented as my top one.
For sure.
But this is definitely one of them.
I mean, the Grammys will be interesting because like GNX is eligible, and so is, I believe, Chromacopia. So I think those will both be nominated there, taking up some space. Even though it came out last year. So but yeah, outside of those, I do think GNX will probably win album of the year. Kendrick's on just a heater right now. So
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I do think it ends up. Yeah, definitely pop vocal. And then album of the year maybe, but I definitely see it being pop vocal album for sure.
I hope she does. I think this is a really special project, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every second I get to listen to it. So
yeah,
good job, Miley. Kudos.
What a crazy thing that we just did our DCOM episode and we're getting new releases from Ali and AJ, Miley Cyrus, and the Jonas Brothers, and Joe Jonas also.
I know.
Just like a
wild.
It's incredible how these artists have stayed.
Yeah. That's I was
crazy.
Actually just thinking
Selena Gomez,
we perhaps need to dive into this at a different date, but there is a weird staying power to our era of Disney
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
which has not happened since. Like these current Disney stars are just not.
Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo.
I guess they were like right at the end of that.
Sure.
I feel like.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a topic for another time. But
it is. We'll have to get into that at some point. There's also like millennials and like older Gen Z. Not been a lot of good in our lifetimes, so I think we're just like the most nostalgic generation ever too, and that keeps a lot of this alive. For
sure,
honestly, like it's like at least our childhoods weren't like a total shit show, you know.
Hence why these Disney remakes are making so much money.
Yeah, I mean, I actually love Lilo and Stitch. We can get into. Do you want to get into what's Sparking Joy? Yeah. I actually really love Lilo and Stitch. I'll be the first to say it. I don't agree with the discourse online. I think a lot of the people that seem to be mad about the ending did not watch the movie because they're not getting the ending right. They're not saying what actually happened. And so I'm a bit confused by the discourse in general. I totally understand, especially having a problem with how Nani's character was rewritten, because she's definitely very different than she is in the cartoon. So I understand that criticism, but I don't actually understand the criticism that like it's like a parable about like giving your child over to the state, which like the TikTok seems to be mad about. That's just actually not what happens in the movie, nor does it feel unjustified by any of the adaptive changes that you're introduced to from the beginning. So I don't know. I love the character of Stitch. And they render him perfectly in this movie. They add a scene towards the beginning where he lands on Earth and he really wants cake. He sees some cake in the dumpster, and then he ends up at a wedding and he sees the wedding cake, and he just wreaks havoc on this wedding trying to get the cake. Incredible. Absolutely iconic shit. And the little girl that is playing Lilo is like a superstar. Like probably my favorite child performance since Lindsay Lohan in Parent Trap. Like truly just like,
oh my gosh.
Electric.
Wow, that's big
electric
praise.
in this movie. Like absolutely like she was born to play this character. I don't know how they found her, but like it couldn't have been anyone else. And then I saw a video of her like singing Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride, and she has a great singing voice too. I'm like, okay, chill out, save some talent for the rest of us. Stop.
Right.
You're like 6. Okay, breathe.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so,
well, I'm glad you liked
that.
That
was a fun one for me, and I've yet to see Mission Impossible, which I know you really liked. So I'm gonna go hopefully on Wednesday and see that before we leave.
Yeah. I have a few things that I can shout out, including Mission Impossible, the Final Reckoning, which was so much fun. I mean, just like the Mission Impossible movies are endless fun for me.
Same.
I just love all of those movies so much, and
they're just silly
really
little movies. They're awesome.
They are silly little movies where Tom Cruise just gets to like put his life at risk, and we're all just like, yeah,
just like insane risk.
It's just no like actual like if anything goes wrong, he's dead.
Yeah.
No, but it was super fun. Loved it. Finished Severance. Pissed at the ending. Just because I have to wait. But super good. I also, shouted out the Arizona trip. I just started Gossip Girl today.
The OG one.
Because
they like remade it recently
with Blake Lively.
Okay.
Yeah, so we started that today. Already having so much fun. I love a teen drama, but I think honestly, I just can't fucking wait for Italy. I'm so excited to go to Italy.
I mean, like I literally I have work the next couple of days, and I'm like, I don't want to go. Like I can't focus on anything right now. I'm truly just like
this whole week is a wash.
Yeah, it is. We're gonna be there soon. It's gonna be awesome.
I'll be running on 30% this entire week. That's it'll be fine.
I am nervous about transatlantic flight. This will be my first time doing that. So.
Okay.
But we are doing it overnight, so it's usually not terrible, and I can sleep pretty well.
Yeah.
Plus, we're going to be reading Sunrise and the Reaping on the plane. Probably going to
nice.
I have a new new like super fast fixation on Star Wars because of Andor, and so I may load up some of the other shows that I haven't watched yet, like The Acolyte or Clone Wars or something, and just try to get on that. I'll have things to do, but yeah, I can't wait. It's just so stoked.
Can't wait. I'm so excited. All right.
So that's it. I guess a programming announcement. We are going to be taking a brief hiatus. We'll be back at the end of June after we get back from Italy. We'll be there until like the 3rd week of June. So anyway, where can people find us if they want to keep following along?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at the Daily Record Spin _podcast or on YouTube just at the Daily Record Spin. If you want to get in touch with us and ask us questions, give us suggestions, tell us about your feelings on something beautiful or any of the things we talk about, you can email us at thedailyrecordspin@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram, again, at the Daily Record Spin _podcast.
Love it. All right. We will see you in a few weeks. Until next time, thanks you for listening to the Daily Record Spin.